All right, let's dive in. Do you really believe you're fully in charge of your own thoughts? Like every single decision, every idea, is it truly yours? Well, maybe prepare to question that a bit. Because according to our sources today, there's something sneakier, maybe more powerful than just your conscious will pulling the strings. We're doing a deep dive into this idea called the narrative. D-A-R-R-A-T-I-V. It's not a typo. It's like narrative, but with a D because it actually drives you. It's basically the sum of everything, right? Your beliefs, experiences, biases, even weird stuff you picked up as a teenager. Our main source for this is Dr. Gad Karmi's book, Why You Think You Think. We're going to explore how we became homo narrans, the storytelling species. So yeah, buckle up. We're digging into the stories that define us.
Exactly. And our mission here is really to unpack the surprising bits, a kind of aha moments from Karmi's work. We'll look at how deeply this internal narrative runs our lives, how it connects to consciousness, language, and even, how it shapes our interactions online in the digital world. What's really striking from Karmi is how much of what we think is reality is actually just a story. One we wrote ourselves, maybe without realizing it, or one we just kind of absorbed.
Right. So if you think you've got a solid handle on what consciousness even is, Karmi might say, maybe think again. He calls consciousness a suitcase word.
A suitcase word?
Yeah, like a catch-all where we just stuff a bunch of fuzzy ideas and call it profound. Like, people look at the neural correlates of consciousness, the NCC. Yeah, the idea that consciousness just pops out from specific brain activity, like neurons firing together, like a synchronized swim team in your head.
Yeah.
Karmi says, look, just because the lights are on doesn't mean you know who's home or what they're thinking.
Precisely. Karmi really digs into that. He points out that NCC helps map brain activity, sure, but it doesn't really get at the subjective feeling, the experience of being conscious. He argues our narrative often tries to put numbers on something that's, well, fundamentally qualitative. It's a very human thing to do. Then there's integrated information theory, IIT. Karmi explores this too.
Oh yeah, that one's wild.
It is. It suggests consciousness is what it feels like to integrate information. And it tries to quantify it with this values-fi. The kind of unsettling part is, if it's just about integrating information, then maybe even your toaster has, like, a tiny bit of subjective experience.
Whoa. Okay. That definitely messes with how we define consciousness. And then you've got thinkers like Daniel Dennett. Karmi brings him up. Dennett basically says, nope, to the whole idea of one single stream of consciousness.
The multiple drafts model.
Exactly. No central narrator, just lots of competing processes in your brain like a chaotic writer's room, all battling it out.
And you're just the winning draft.
Pretty much. The version that won the last round. Karmi uses split-brain patients to illustrate this. It's fascinating.
Yeah, when the connection between the two hemispheres is cut.
Right, the corpus callosum. These patients can literally have two separate consciousnesses. Karmi gives examples, like a patient who picks something up with her left hand. The right brain knows why, but the left brain, the language part, has zero clue.
So what happened?
It just makes up a story. On the spot. To explain the action. That's your brain doing improv comedy just to keep the narrative making sense.
And what's really interesting is how Karmi ties this back to Descartes historically. Descartes was wrong about the mind-body split, that whole res cogitans thinking stuff versus res extensa physical stuff.
Yeah, the ghost in the machine idea.
Right. But his mistake, Karmi argues, was actually incredibly useful for science in a weird way. That kind of cute idea about the pineal gland being the meeting point, totally wrong. But it accidentally created space. It let scientists study the physical body without, annoying the church too much, while philosophy dealt with the mind.
So biology and medicine took off, but psychology, studying the mind, got kind of stuck in this philosophical mess. Karmi points out Freud inherited that confusion, trying to map the invisible mind. Then behaviorism swung the other way, basically saying, forget the mind, let's just watch what people do.
Trading metaphysics for Pavlov's dogs, as Karmi puts it.
Yeah. And we still hear echoes of that split today, right? Mind over matter, or this obsession with, like, uploading our minds to the cloud.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And connecting this to modern theories, Karmi explains they're still wrestling with that split. You've got physicalism, which says there's no mind, really, just brain states. Your thoughts are just electricity.
Okay.
But then you have panpsychism, suggesting consciousness is fundamental, like gravity. So maybe even rocks have some basic awareness.
Wow. Okay. That's a leap.
It is. And then there's embodied cognition from cognitive science. It pushes back hard against the brain-only view. It says the mind isn't just in the brain, it's spread through your whole body, even out into your environment.
So Karmi's point is, like, Your narrative, what you think, could depend on how you're sitting, or if you had a snack.
It sounds funny, but yeah, your physical state, your surroundings, they're part of your thinking system.
Remember Thomas Nagel asking, what is it like to be a bat?
Yeah, the famous philosophy question.
Karmi uses it to make a serious point. Can we truly grasp a consciousness so different from ours, like a bat using echolocation, and then turning it back on us? What about that weird feeling you get, like someone's staring at you?
The staring detection thing.
Yeah. Karmi notes science actually suggests we're slightly better than chance at detecting unseen gazes.
Really? How?
Well, theories range from subtle peripheral vision cues, micro-expression, or, some people say psychic energy, predictably.
And these internal stories, they aren't always conscious, are they? Like with blind sight. He uses blind sight patients as a powerful example. They can't consciously see, but their brain is processing visual info.
How does that work?
They can point to lights accurately, even though they insist they see nothing. It's like their subconscious is driving, but it forgot to tell the conscious driver.
Oh.
And when we look at animals, Karmi shows how their different kinds of consciousness really challenge our human-centric narrative about what personhood means.
Like octopuses?
Yeah,
Yeah.
distributed brains in their arms. Or African gray parrots like Alex understanding the concept of zero. Or animals passing the mirror test, recognizing themselves.
It makes you wonder, when you argue with yourself in the shower, who is that other part?
Good question.
Karmi suggests your sense of self isn't just shaped by what you perceive, but, crucially, by what you think other people perceive about you.
Ah, the imagined audience.
Exactly. You're like a character in a play, constantly tweaking your lines based on who you think is watching, real or not. So are we just reacting to this assumed audience, constantly editing our inner story to fit some external script we've imagined?
That's key insight about the narrative, I think, which leads us nicely into part two, the storytelling animal. Karmi makes this really compelling point. Language probably didn't evolve so we could write beautiful poetry.
Oh, what for them?
Something much more practical, he suggests. Like, hey, don't trust Gary, he's hoarding all the good berries.
Okay.
Right.
Social strategy.
Exactly. Language emerging maybe 50,000 to 100,000 years ago was like humanity's ultimate cheat code. It let us coordinate across time and space, warn about dangers we couldn't see right then, plan for the future.
And here's where Karmi says it gets really interesting. Language didn't just help us survive, it helped us beat the competition. Yeah, like Neanderthals. They were strong, sure. But Karmi argues they didn't form complex gossip networks.
Gossip as an evolutionary advantage.
Karmi argues these networks became the foundation for everything: trade, alliances, farming, and eventually, well, the internet, I guess.
Robin Dunbar, the evolutionary psychologist, proposed something similar, didn't he? That language evolved to manage bigger social groups.
That's right. Because physical grooming, like monkeys do, only works up to about 150 individuals. Gets inefficient.
So gossip is like verbal grooming.
Karmi cites that something like 60–70% of our daily chat is actually about social relationships. Who did what? Who's trustworthy?
So from just saying ouch to telling elaborate stories once upon a time, Karmi explains storytelling started as a survival manual, not art.
Makes sense.
In early hunter-gatherer groups, myths and memory were tied together. Stories taught you which plants kill you, which paths are safe.
Yeah.
Ancient cultures, Sumerians, Greeks, Egyptians, they wove myths around pain, death, danger. It turned suffering into shared knowledge, reinforced social rules.
The stories were like cultural blueprints.
Exactly. Building shared imagination, narrative cohesion, building the collective narrative.
It's how we process suffering, right? Even now. You stub your toe and mutter, ooh, of course this would happen today. You're creating a tiny narrative to explain bad luck.
Yeah, you are.
And Karmi points out, modern narrative therapy does this explicitly, helping people reframe trauma by literally rewriting their personal narrative.
We really are narratively addicted creatures, as he puts it. And that brings us to Karmi's core argument about why the narrative is so powerful and why he thinks rationality is, frankly, overrated.
Overrated.
Yeah. He says you aren't rational. You're just really, really good at telling stories to yourself that make you feel rational. He points at all this cognitive quirks like confirmation bias.
Yes, the I only hear what I want to hear bias.
Pretty much. You Google, are cats secretly evil? And you immediately click the first blog post that says yes. You just confirmed what you already thought. Or hindsight bias. After something happens, you suddenly convince yourself, oh yeah, I knew that would happen all along.
The sunk cost fallacy. is another big one Karmi talks about. That totally irrational need to stick with a bad job or relationship just because you've put so much time into it.
That's narrative inertia, as Karmi calls it. Your story says, I invested, so leaving feels like failure, even if it's the rational choice.
And it's not always lying, right? When people kind of rewrite their history about why they changed careers or broke up with someone.
No, it's editing. Editing the narrative to make the plot make sense, to justify choices.
And the Dunning-Kruger effect, where people who aren't very good at something think they're amazing.
Karmi calls that narrative inflation. Their internal story screams, I'm awesome, because admitting otherwise doesn't fit their self-concept. The brain just picks the story where they're the hero. What's really fascinating here is Karmi's link to the default mode network in the brain.
The part that's active when your mind wanders.
Exactly. When you're daydreaming, reminiscing, it's tightly linked to our self-narrative. Your brain is literally wired to constantly churn out and refine your narrative when it's off duty. And Karmi connects this to culture, too. Western cultures often frame success individually. I did this.
The hero's journey.
Right. While more collectivist cultures might frame the same event as, we achieved this together. Same facts, totally different narrative engine driving the story, shaping how you see yourself and everyone else.
Okay, let's shift gears. Part 3. The machines we've made. AI. Karmi starts with Alan Turing's big question. Can machines think?
The imitation game.
Yeah, well, we call the Turing test now. If a machine could fool you into thinking it was human, does that mean it thinks?
Yeah, and Karmi reminds us those Dartmouth scientists back in the 50s thought they'd crack thinking machines in like one summer.
Yeah. Spoiler, didn't quite happen.
Still, that early optimism, however misplaced, kicked off the whole feel of AI. Early attempts include things like Eliza, right? That 1960s chatbot therapist.
Oh yeah, people actually got attached to it, telling it their
Oh,
problems.
they did. Then, after an AI winter, machine learning brought the dream back in the 2000s. Systems started writing poems, suggesting movies. The illusion persists. Just because something sounds smart doesn't mean it understands anything. AI mimics. It doesn't have a narrative like we do.
Which brings us neatly to John Searle's Chinese room argument. Karmi uses this to make a really critical point.
Yeah, the guy locked in the room with Chinese symbols and a rule book.
Exactly. He doesn't understand Chinese. He's just following instructions. If you see this symbol, output that symbol.
But from the outside, it looks like he understands Chinese.
Right. Searle's point, and Karmi builds on this, is that syntax manipulating symbols according to rules isn't the same as semantics, which is actual understanding or meaning.
That really threw a wrench in the works for cognitive science, didn't it? Challenging the definition of intelligence itself. And this leads directly to the big question now. What about large language models? ChatGPT and the like. They can write sonnets, explain quantum physics, seem incredibly intelligent.
Yeah, sometimes scarily so.
But Karmi argues, fundamentally, it's predictive text on a massive scale. It's just predicting the next most likely word or token. It has no beliefs, no real intention, just statistical patterns learned from vast amounts of text.
So when they hallucinate facts or say biased things,
That's because they're just reflecting patterns, including flaws and biases, in their training data. We instinctively project intelligence and agency onto them because we're wired to see stories and intention everywhere. But the machine talking like us doesn't mean it thinks like us or has its own narrative.
so this explains why Siri will never truly love you back, I guess.
Pretty much. Karmi explains that before LLMs, AI was very rule-based, rigid, terrible at nuance, sarcasm.
Then came deep learning.
Right. Instead of feeding it rules, you feed it massive amounts of data, text, images, whatever. The machine doesn't learn rules, it learns patterns. It becomes an incredibly sophisticated mimic. So GPT, at its core, is a next-word predictor, trained to sound convincing. But Karmi really stresses. It doesn't know who Shakespeare is. It doesn't even know what a word means in the way we do. It just knows that certain sequences of tokens often follow other sequences.
So it glitches, like when it confidently makes up nonsense.
Karmi says those aren't bugs, they're features. They reveal the underlying mechanism. They remind us AI doesn't know, feel, or want anything. It just reacts to prompts like a very complex mirror, reflecting the narratives it has absorbed from us.
Okay, let's move to part 4. Media, madness, and meaning. This feels very relevant right now. Karmi brings in Marshall McLuhan's famous idea. Media changes how we think, not just what we think about.
The medium is the message.
Yeah. Karmi walks through history with this. Cave paintings forced abstract thinking. The printing press, it fostered linear thought, maybe even individualism.
Radio allowed mass persuasion, like fascism, to spread rapidly, changing national
And
narratives.
television turned reality into a performance where how things licked became crucial.
And today, Karmi argues, we're in the internet age. Memes, TikToks, algorithms. It's not just grabbing our attention, it's subtly reshaping our cognition.
How so?
Well, TikTok, Karmi calls it lava. It just flows, autoplaying, constantly editing reality, rewarding instant reaction, not deep thought.
Yeah, that feels accurate.
YouTube recommendation algorithms can lead people down rabbit holes toward radical views. Facebook groups replacing town squares. Media isn't just showing you the world, it's increasingly becoming your world. A surprising angle Karmi highlights is how the tools we use to get stories are now actively shaping the kind of character we think we are in our own narrative.
Propaganda used to be like posters saying Uncle Sam wants you.
Right. Simple. Top down.
Now, Karmi shows it's algorithmic emotional bait. Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, they aren't just platforms, they're persuasion engines.
They don't need a central ministry of truth, just code and clickbait.
The algorithms track everything right.
Yeah.
What you click, what makes you angry, what makes you comment.
And then they feed you more of exactly that. More outrage, more stuff that confirms your biases, less nuance. Which makes you wonder, is all this polarization we see a bug, or is it actually a feature of the system? Karmi suggests outrage drives engagement. Engagement feeds the algorithms. And the algorithms shape your reality, often pushing you deeper into your bubble. The Cambridge Analytica stuff back in 2016 is a key example Karmi uses using harvested data for micro-targeted political ads, essentially crafting bespoke narratives for individuals.
Or YouTube, just suggesting one more video that happens to lead you down some extreme path.
Exactly. Your personal narrative gets hijacked by this frictionless persuasion, and because it feels tailored to you, it feels like the truth.
Karmi calls this narrative engineering and says it's the new arms race. Like, political bots, fake personas designed just to stir up trouble and shift what's considered acceptable to talk about.
The Overton window, yeah. Shifting that window.
So you think you're arguing with a real person online, but often it's just a well-funded algorithm poking at your narrative.
And TikTok subtly guiding your tastes, nudging your mood. It's like it's choosing your personality subgenre for you. And then there's synthetic media, deepfakes, AI-generated news, AI influencers with millions of followers.
Wait, AI influencers?
Oh, yeah. Entirely digital personas. Karmi presents this really sobering thought. What if the most trusted voice in your life doesn't actually exist? Belief itself is becoming a commodity. Narrative engineering isn't some future threat. It's deeply embedded now. Think about Amazon's recommendations. That's a narrative device suggesting your next story. Netflix thumbnails are a narrative bait. Even your GPS route tells a story about efficiency or avoiding traffic.
So it's everywhere.
And Karmi hints the ultimate frontier might be things like cognitive implants, literally rewriting your inner monologue, truly engineering the narrative from the inside out.
Okay, people love diagrams. Karmi offers one. The thinking system, a map of what's actually going on inside our heads.
Showing how consciousness, language, and narratives are constantly mixing and remixing everything.
On the input side, you've got reality hitting your senses, plus that ambient data, like the being stared at feeling.
But Karmi notes, most of our data comes secondhand. Stories, media, culture.
We're essentially downloading other people's realities all the time.
And this feeds into Karmi's idea of the three libraries of the mind. There's the consciousness library, that's where your active narrative, your current me story resides. Then the intuition subconscious library, childhood stuff, cultural reflexes, gut feelings. And the instinct DNA library, the really deep, hardwired behaviors.
And the narrative acts as the filter.
Exactly. It's the filter and the processor, constantly moving information between these libraries, constantly rewriting itself. This explains how memories change meaning over time, or how trauma gets reframed as wisdom. That's the narrative actively editing your past.
And Karmi says this thinking system model is crucial for understanding AI.
Yeah.
If human thinking is this layered, dynamic system driven by an evolving narrative, well, that's what we should be looking for in machines.
Right. It's not just about passing some static tests like Turing's. It's about whether a system can take in experience, filter it through its own framework, its own narrative, if you will, and then fundamentally change based on that evolving story.
And until AI can do that.
It's just very, very fancy autocomplete, mimicking us, but not truly experiencing or understanding in the way we do. So this brings us to a really practical question. How do we even navigate this world overflowing with information that's constantly shaping our inner stories? Dr. Karmi offers a great metaphor. You are what you eat.
Okay.
And by extension, you are what you read, click, watch, even what you rant about online. Your consciousness isn't some pure untouched thing. It's this weird soup made from everything you consume mentally.
Karmi argues pretty strongly that we need to treat information like food, just like we develop food labels, safety standards. We desperately need something similar for our brains, for the information we consume.
Good information, like good food, needs good ingredients, reliable sources.
And misinformation.
That's the junk food for your brain, Karmi says. Tastes good, maybe gives you a quick rush, but leaves you feeling agitated, angry, kind of empty.
So those warning, disputed claim labels aren't censorship.
Karmi would say no, they're like nutritional labels for information. Packaging honesty, letting you choose your mental diet more carefully. He also stresses that some online content is basically like toxic waste for your thinking. It bypasses your rational filters, goes straight for the emotional gut punch, anger, fear. It changes you, makes you allergic to nuance, to complexity, to critical thought.
So connecting the dots, you wouldn't just eat a sandwich some random person offered you on the street without asking questions, right?
Hopefully not.
So why instantly believe a meme with terrible grammar or some unverified claim shared by your cousin?
Exactly. Ask, who made this? Why are they telling me this? Are they selling fear or actual insight? Can I check it somewhere else? That critical lens is vital for curating your own narrative.
So, okay, let's wrap this up. What's the big takeaway here? The central idea we've explored from Karmi is that you aren't just thinking. You're constantly narrating. You're telling a story. And that story, your personal narrative, it changes absolutely everything about how you experience the world.
Yeah. And the call to action really is to become a better editor of your own inner screenplay. Maybe try pausing sometimes mid-thought and just ask, wait, is this actually my thought? Or did I just absorb it from a headline or something my friend said or, some angry Twitter thread?
Pause. Question it.
Yeah. Pause. Rewrite it if you need to.
Right.
Punch up the dialogue, experiment with your narrative, find the humor in it sometimes. You're not a fixed character, right? You're a story that's constantly being revised.
And it's not just about your internal world, is it? Because the outside world is just brimming with competing narratives, cultural myths, political scripts, carefully crafted online personas. They're all out there, fighting for space inside your head, trying to shape your story for you.
And maybe the most radical thing you can do, Karmi suggests, isn't trying to reject all these outside stories. That's probably impossible. It's about consciously curating them, asking, okay, who's holding the pen for this story that I'm letting in? It makes you wonder, what narratives are we inviting into our mental living room, and why are they there?
So if someone comes at you trying to sell their personal narrative like it's the one and only universal truth,
Yeah.
smile,
Yeah.
nod politely, and maybe ask for their sources, ask for citations.
Or even better, try to become the person in your own circle, your community, who tells better stories. Kinder ones, maybe. Smarter ones, stories that actually have room for doubt, for curiosity.
Yeah.
And yeah, maybe even for a few bad jokes.
That sounds good.
A key takeaway from Karmi is that the questions you ask shape the next story you tell. The future of our consciousness, maybe, depends on us learning how to cook our thoughts better, as he puts it. So go on, rewrite your narrative. Just try not to make it boring.